Chapter 13. I splashed down into the water and plunged beneath the surface. Instantly, I popped back up, buoyed by my life vest. I sputtered and spit lake water from my mouth. Suddenly, the rowboat slammed to the water 2 feet away, upside down. If it had landed any closer, it would have hit me. My tackle box fell into the water, and so did the cooler and the net. One of the fishing poles hit me in the shoulder. I was disoriented for a moment, unsure of what had happened or why. Then I saw the submarine. The woman was frantically waving at me, urging me to swim over, and boy, did I ever. I swam faster than I ever had in my life. The shark had vanished beneath the surface, and I couldn't see his fin, but I knew he was close by. Every horrifying second, I kept thinking he would attack, opening up his powerful jaws to swallow me whole. Nearby, Tara and Landon were also swimming toward the sub. Water splashed as the three of us tried to make it to safety before the creature attacked again. Landon made it to the sub first. By now, the woman had climbed out of the hatch and was kneeling on a small metal deck that was only a few inches from the water's surface. She reached out, grabbed Landon's hand, and pulled him up and out of the water. Tara was next. The woman helped her up and out. I was still swimming like mad when the three of them, the woman, Tara, and Landon, all started yelling. I stopped swimming and turned to look behind me, only to see the blade of the shark's fin. Chapter 14. You can make it, the woman shouted. Keep swimming. I kicked with my legs and crawled through the water with my arms with all my strength I had. It was too hard because my arms and back and shoulders were already tired from rowing so much. Come on, the woman shouted. Hurry. I wasn't going to take the time to turn and see how close the Megalodon was. All that would do was slow me down. Instead, I stayed focused, forging ahead, kicking and swimming in a desperate attempt to make it to the submarine. Although I'm a good swimmer, I was really glad I had on my life vest because it helped me stay on the surface. It was a horrifying feeling knowing that at any moment I might feel the Megalodon's sharp teeth, knowing that as I swam toward the sub. Seconds seemed like hours. It felt like it was taking forever to make it to the vessel. But when I finally did, I didn't waste any time getting out of the water. I reached up and the woman grabbed both of my hands and pulled me from the lake. Climb inside the sub, she ordered. Go down the hatch. Behind me, the huge fin was still coming toward us, not far away. The rowboat floated upside down, partially sunk. My red tackle box floated nearby, but there was no sign of the net, the cooler, or the fishing poles. Tara was first down the hatch, followed by Landon, then me. I climbed up and in, only to find a ladder sinking into the depths of the sub. I scrambled to it and began my descent carefully as the metal rungs were slippery against my wet hands and shoes. Above me, the woman crawled in. She closed the hatch with a loud clang. Our surroundings grew dark, but there was a light glowing below. I continued my descent. In 6 more steps down the ladder, I reached the floor. Tara and Landon were standing nearby, dripping wet. I took a step back to let the woman continue down the ladder. All of a sudden, we heard a deafening pound. A light flickered a couple of times. The submarine lurched violently, sending the three of us to the floor. The woman, however, was still holding the ladder, and she didn't fall. I think we made him a bit angry, the woman said. He's not happy that you got away. The submarine was stable again, and she helped us to our feet. What in the world is going on? I said. Where did that thing come from? Where did you come from? I'll tell you in a moment, she replied. First, follow me. She walked past us and down a narrow corridor. As the three of us followed, I looked around. There were long metal pipes crisscrossing all over the place. The walls, floor, and ceiling appeared to be solid steel. There were only a few small lights, and everything seemed cold and dark and lonely. I read somewhere that some people spend months in military submarines without ever surfacing. Months! If I had to stay in such a confined area for that long, I think I'd go crazy. We followed the woman as she made her way through the submarine. The ceiling was low, and she had to duck a number of times so she wouldn't hit a pipe or a bar. Tara, Landon, and I didn't have to duck at all. We weren't that tall, so it was easy for us to make our way through the ship. We're dripping water all over the place, I said. That's fine. A little water isn't going to hurt anything. The woman stopped and motioned to her left. There was a doorway of sorts, except instead of being in a rectangular shape like most doors, this one was oblong, and we would have to duck down and step up to get through. Watch your steps, she said as she bent low and climbed through the portal. Landon followed, then Tara, then me. The room we entered was a bit more spacious, about the size of our living room. There were all kinds of blinking lights, hums, and computer monitors. Most of the screens were dark, but one of them showed what appeared to be the surface of the lake, as I could see the dark water fog and what looked like our capsized rowboat not far away. Directly in front was a large round window, and we could see directly into the lake. I could see the shimmering surface above the blue-gray water beneath. It was like looking into an aquarium without the fish and coral and plastic plants and seaweed. I'm going to submerge, the woman said. Then I'll explain to you what I know. We remained silent while she went around the room, flicking switches, pressing buttons, turning dials, and pecking away at the numerous computer keyboards. She moved swiftly and without hesitation. And the strange thing was that we were submerging, going deeper and deeper into the lake. But it didn't feel like we were moving at all. In fact, the only way I knew we were moving was by looking through the giant window in front of us. I watched as the surface above drew farther and farther away. As we descended deeper and deeper into the depths, the light from the surface faded. Soon the window was completely dark, and none of the computer screens showed anything either. Finally, the woman stopped her work. She came over to where we were standing. I'm sorry I don't have any chairs for you to sit, she said. I'm afraid I don't have luxuries like that in this submarine. I don't need to sit down, I said, as I slipped my life vest off, and Tara and Landon did the same. Water continued to drip from our drenched clothing. I just want to know what's going on. The woman looked at us, then began to speak. What she told us was incredible. Chapter 15. First of all, she began, my name is Jennifer Monroe, and I'm a marine biologist. Landon frowned. What's that? Basically, I study undersea life. I've been doing this for 20 years, but for the past year, I've devoted most of my time to finding what most people believe doesn't exist in Sardis Lake, a megalodon. You don't have to convince us. We know better. Jennifer nodded. Over the years, there have been reports of a giant creature in Sardis Lake. Some even reported that they'd seen a shark. They weren't taken seriously because sharks don't live in fresh water. But last year, a man found this. Jennifer turned and strode to a wall where there were several metal cabinets. She opened one, pulled out a shoebox, and raised the lid. Look, she said, lowering the box so we could see its contents. Inside was a long, sharp, grayish-white tooth, triangular shape, shiny, and smooth. It was over 12 inches long. That's a shark tooth, Tara exclaimed. To be precise, it's the tooth of a megalodon. It was found by a man on the other side of the lake. But that tooth could be millions of years old. It's not proof that a megalodon lives in Sardis Lake. Carbon dating showed that this tooth isn't old at all. In fact, it was estimated to be only 3 or 4 years old. But how could a megalodon live in Sardis Lake without being discovered? That's what I'm trying to find out. I've been searching for the creature for a year. I've been unsuccessful until yesterday. That's when I recorded this. Jennifer moved to a computer keyboard. On the wall, a screen flashed to life. The recording showed what appeared to be a bright light at the bottom of the lake. The atmosphere was murky and thick, and there were clumps of dark green weeds and a few small logs. Other than that, there wasn't anything to see, not even a fish. I don't see anything. Watch closely. We watched the large screen, but still saw nothing. Just a second. Keep watching. Slowly, we could make out a dark form in the depths. The image was fuzzy because whatever was making the shadow was further away. But as it came closer into the light, there was no mistaking what it was. An enormous shark. A megalodon. Jennifer was beaming. Finally! Proof I recorded the megalodon yesterday afternoon. It was the first time I found it in Sardis Lake, and I've been searching this since last summer. I couldn't take my eyes off the image on the screen. The megalodon was massive, whale-sized, and it turned and began to swim slowly away out of the light. Then it vanished in the hazy darkness. This is unbelievable. Where did that thing come from? I have a theory. What's a theory? Landon asked. A theory is like an idea or a hunch based on the evidence and information gathered. I've been studying the possibility of megalodons living in fresh water for a long time. Most scientists say it's impossible. However, from what I found out, I think it's not only possible, but probable. And now that we've discovered an actual living megalodon, we know the truth. But shouldn't we get out of here, Tara asked. I mean, that thing tried to eat us. He attacked our boat and your submarine. The sub is on autopilot and we're headed for the docks at my laboratory. You can call your parents from there and they can pick you up. Don't you have a radio in this thing? Tara asked. I did, but it's old. It quit working a month ago. I've been meaning to get it fixed, but I've been too excited about finding the Megalodon to do anything else. But what's your theory? How is it that a Megalodon is alive today living in Sardis Lake? I believe that suddenly the submarine rocked violently to the side, shaking the entire ship. The lights went out and we were knocked to the floor. Jennifer had said we were safe as long as we were in the sub, but she was wrong.